Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I hope everything's okay in your life. In this video you will find an updated version of series I prepared in the previous years. You're in luck for listening to the explanation because I felt the need to quickly discuss the content of the video. Each video will feature an interview with a class master about either the Succession or Awakening versions of a class. All videos, including the older ones, will be available in the playlist you see on the screen. You can find the link of the playlist in the pinned comment section. The purpose of this video series is to help you understand the basic role of the class within the game. I must clarify that it is not a deeply detailed guide. You will watch an interview in a conversational style aimed at answering the fundamental questions of those interested in playing a class. The class masters featured are experienced players who have dedicated thousands of hours to their class and to the Black Desert Online. You may recognize some and not the others, but unfamiliarity does not make them bad players. All the class masters mentioned have proven themselves in Black Desert Online world. Please be respectful when sharing your thoughts. Enjoy watching. Hello guys, welcome. Today's guest is Azurlia for Succession Lahn class. Welcome Azurlia, how are you?
Good, how are you doing, Quendia?
Thank you very much. I'm excited for this interview. Let's go dive in. Let's start with the first question. May you please introduce yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? Which server are you playing at?
Hi, my name is Azurlia. I'm from the US. I play from the East Coast on the North America servers, and I play Succession Lahn.
Thank you. How did you find out of BDO and what caught your interest to stay in BDO?
A group of friends told me to try the game back in 2017. I played a bit with them, and eventually we dropped the game after like a month. And then back in 2020, when the new seasons were started, the same group of friends told me to start playing again. And what kept my interest in the long run is the fun PvP and my first snowboard guild that I started playing with, which was Stray.
Thank you. Have you ever taken a break from playing BDO? If so, what motivated you to come back?
None really that I can think of. I, at most, would probably like take a break for like a week or two, but that's about it.
Thank you. How long have you been playing the class you're currently playing? Have you tried any other classes?
So I've been playing Lahn for 4 years straight now. I've also been playing Awaken and Mago on the side for about the past 4 months. And it's basically around like the same play style, I think. As far as other classes, I've also tried Awaken and Mystic, Suck Mewa, and Awaken and Nova.
What sets the class you play apart from the other classes?
The one big thing that everybody knows is it can fly. It can create like its own elevation. It allows you to create like unique positions in PvP to where you can flank people that no other class can really achieve. And you can also just slip out of situations that, pretty much no other class can.
I wonder that, and also people probably wonder this, in Awakening Lahn, you cannot that much fly, the long distance, but it's a little bit different in Succession, as I know. Would you please explain this?
All right, so the thing with Succession Lahn is it has a lot more control over its flight, whereas Awakening Lahn is kind of just all these things you have to start off of the ground. With Succession Lahn, there's like a bunch of skills you can chain in the air to just continue your mobility in the air.
I get it. Is your class evasion or damage reduction or both playable, and why?
I'd say both. Evasion is more of like a disruptive and skirmish oriented type of playstyle, whereas if you run damage reduction, you play more of like a dive bomb and you try to assassinate people quickly in the backline at PvP, specifically for like no wars and all that stuff. For the most part, I prefer evasion just because it fits my playstyle more.
Thank you. So what is your current gear score? Do you rush progress or go with the flow when it comes to gear progression?
So right now my gear score is 757. I used to grind a heavy bit amount from 2020 to like 2022. Once I hit like 700 gear score, I just kind of started taking it easy. And honestly, I got really RNG carried on a bunch of upgrades.
Thank you. Is your class newbie friendly? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate its difficulty? If you want, you can separate it as Succession and Awakening.
Honestly, if we're talking like PvE, it's definitely like a 3. The only hard thing about it is the mobility. If we're leaning more towards PvP, it's going to be like a 5 or a 6. Most of it's going to be matchup knowledge and, learn how to utilize your mobility.
Thank you. So let's talk about your class in detail. We are curious about your thoughts on the PvE situation of the class you're playing. Could you provide us with detailed information separately for early, mid, and end game?
So it's pretty much strong in all stages. As far as early game goes, it's really good at shredding, packs real quick while it moves. It's got a lot of great mobility, so you can just go pack to pack really fast. As far as mid game, it's also sort of the same deal. You just shred through packs really fast. A lot of the mid-game spots are just these big cluster, dense spots. As far as end game goes, the only spot I can think of that the class struggles at is specifically Dekia Thornwood, but other than that, every other spot, it does really well in.
I think people misunderstand this part. Succession Lahn is very strong PvE class, that's my opinion by the way, but she is right now, she used to be top 1, top 2, top 3, but I think not anymore. What do you think about this?
Oh yeah, I definitely think she's like top 5, but definitely not top 3. There's so many other classes, like if you see Succession Ninja and like Awaken and Nova, those classes do a lot.
So let's talk about PvP. We are curious about your thoughts on the PvP situation of the class you're currently playing. Could you provide us with detailed information separately for 1v1, 1vx, AOS, 5v5, Guild League, Node, Siege, and War of the Roses?
So for 1v1s, I'd say it's pretty average. She's got a couple of decent catches. Her SH rating is only alright because a lot of the damage in her kit is locked behind, decently long animations. As far as 1vx goes, she's mostly just annoying in 1vx. She's really good at just pissing off a lot of people, just flying around. Very hard to catch. It's a bit harder to win those 1vx's though, just because she does have to stand still for a lot of her combo damage. So it's a lot easier to grab her and all that. As far as AOS goes, I'd say she's a little bit better here. Like as there's more people in a fight, she starts to do well because she's got good follow-up and damage, and she's really good at, abusing opportunities that her teammates create. As far as 5v5s, it's about the same. She's just going to be a little bit stronger here just because there's more people, it's more chaotic. And as far as Guild League goes, she's a really good disruptor and pre-engager. She's very good at just pressuring any ranged targets in the back. She only struggles a little bit in Guild League, and that's just because the terrain in all of the Guild League maps is mostly flat. So there's not really much areas she can abuse her elevation much. For Nowhere in Siege, this is where she shines the best because she takes a lot of opportunity out of any main ball situation. And she also is really great at run and flex because she can also do anti-cannon extremely well since a lot of cannon spots tend to be, in these really awkward to get positions. So in large scale, she's definitely like really strong.
When we watch some kind of Succession Lahn montages on YouTube, we always see, and for large scale, we see that they just dive into in the fort, in the castle or somewhere. They just destroy 10, 15 people with few skills, and it seems pretty easy, pretty comfy and something like that. Is that much common? Or they just recorded the best part of in the Node War?
I'd say with those clips, the class is really strong at punishing people that are not paying attention. So a lot of these clips you're going to see are going to be against generally weaker guilds. If you're playing against stronger guilds, you're going to notice a lot more that Lahns might only get away with 2 or 3, because you just can't get away with that against guilds with, stronger players. So she's more of a noob stomper kind of class.
I get it. Is there a significant strong aspect of the class you're playing or significant weakness? I mean, in short term, we can say that what is the strongest thing for you? What is the weakest thing for you?
Easily the strongest aspect is the flight. The mobility is unmatched compared to every other class in its own unique way. You're just able to reach ranged classes on elevated areas real easily, all that stuff, and you can just get into really great positions that no other rat class can. As far as her biggest weakness, I'd honestly say probably just attack speed slows. Literally everything in her kit is, including her mobility, is affected by attack speed slows. So, but the strong thing is movement speed slows do not affect her flying and all that stuff. All that movement with the flight, that's only affected by attack speed slows.
This is very interesting. I'm playing Awakened Rukania that this class is also can fly. It's not like Lahn fly, but it can fly. The mobility, the movement speed is affecting the stamina consumption indirectly. It's not giving you extra speed. It's kind of given, but not that much. It's interesting that you guys are not affected by movement speed.
Yeah, I actually tested it with and did a comparison side by side. And if you don't have your attack speed pre-buff on Lahn up, you can just immediately notice the difference between all your flight.
It's very interesting. It's like Awakened Nova. Are there any classes that clearly dominate the class you're playing? In other words, what are the counter matchups for you?
This is just going to be classes like Berserker, Gauntlets, Awaken and Drac, Awaken and Sage, Awaken Valkyrie, and I'd say Awaken and Hash. Generally, it's just going to be tankier classes that give her a lot of problems just because she will struggle to kill them, a lot of times. And it's also hard to get them, onto the ground in the first place.
What about you counter? Which classes you counter?
Which classes are that? Easily think of any range class, Archer, Ranger. I'd say for the most part, she does decently against wizards and casters, all that stuff. Suck Magos, not that great. Maybe it'll change with the hit patch, but for the most part, it's just going to be squishier rat classes and just ranged classes.
Thank you. Is there a mechanic or skill in your class that you would like to be buffed or nerfed?
The only thing I could think of is, maybe a 10% slow somewhere. But that's pretty much it. I wanted an evasion shred on the class for the longest time. They're actually giving that next patch with the hit, the hit change. So only thing I could think of is a little bit of a slow. Because a lot of the other classes in the game have a slow, and they're in the 30% and 20%. It'd just be nice to have something like that.
I get it. So can we get a brief summary of the good and bad things on your class? What can this class offer me? Let's say that I want to reroll to this class, newbie or returnee. Let's consider that I'm another veteran player. What this class can offer me?
So it's a very strong PV class. It's extremely easy to pick up. The flying is fun. You're not going to get that on any other class. It also is really fun to play in PvP, just with all the crazy rat things you can do. You just get away with the most, crazy stuff. But unfortunately, it can be a bit frustrating right now, at least due to BDO's current issue with hit acceleration. Lahn is affected a lot by hit acceleration right now, and hopefully it'll change with the next patch.
Thank you for all those informations about Succession Lahn. Class is pretty straightforward, newbie friendly mostly, and almost there is nothing to talk about in depth. I can understand the situation. Let's talk about BDO itself then. What are your thoughts on BDO's current situation from past until now?
I just think it's alright. The game has been pretty stagnant right now in the PvP scene for a while, just because it's almost been a year since Ranked AOS come out. Granted, they are coming out with it, in July now, which is good, but it shouldn't take that long. The only other thing I don't like is the guild war change, and the open world PvP is just kind of essentially not existed in the game for a while now. PvE, it just feels about the same. It's just more tower spots in the game instead of, rotation-based grind spots with all like the Dekia, spots and all that.
Thank you. What do you think that the PA company does well, and what is those bad about updates? If you were in charge, let's say that you are a new Mr. J, what would you like to add or remove?
So, as far as quality of life goes, BDO is at its peak right now. Every quality of life change they've made has been really, really good. The PvP changes, though, obviously, they've kind of take too long to make any PvP balance changes. So we're kind of stuck in these metas for too long that people just don't enjoy and they don't find them interesting at all. If I was in charge of PA, I'd definitely revert the no war system that they added in, and I'd make AOS ranked something that is a permanent thing that kind of just goes off season for like 2 weeks and then it comes back on with a new season.
I get it. I mean, most of the time, there are other class masters complaining about the situation of the resists. I would love to see that they remove resists completely, or if they want to keep the resist in the game, I would love to see some nerfs on the resists. 80% is too much. I would love to see that maximum 50 or maybe 60. It's because, I need to explain this part, it's because when you just put so much different ignore crystals, ignore specific items to just counter your opponent's extra resists, you're just sacrificing so much defensive or aggressive stats or crystals or lightstones or many other things to get there. But even at that situation, you still have 30, maybe 40% chance of your CC can resist. Your opponent can resist to your CC. So this situation is so, I don't want to say this, but this is idiotic. Like yesterday, I watched the tournament and just organized a tournament with the sponsorship. In that AOS tournament, I saw many resists, and people lost their matches because of resists. They just catch people. They now, like 3 times in a row, I saw that one guy just resist 3 KD like in 1 second, and he just get up. This is irritating. This is disgusting. Yes, maybe resist can stay in the game, but if I just put so much effort, so much things, invest so much resources to ignore that resist, I should be able 100% ignore it. I just want to see that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because some classes rely on all 3 forms of CC, so you can't necessarily build ignore resist for all 3 of those. You can only commit to 1. So no matter what you do, especially if you're a class that's 90% KD, like Lahn is pretty much all KDs. So it's not that bad on her just because you can put in ignore knockdown resist and you're pretty much good. Whereas other classes that need to do a lot of stiffens, floats, stuns, KDs, they suffer a lot more. And it makes classes with, resist passives or resist buffs, like Caster with Mana Shield that gives resist, that makes them a lot more annoying to fight. Oh, and especially Shy. Yeah, the Shy buff, that needs to go.
Exactly. I mean, if they just fix the issue of the resist, like I said, to 50% to 60% is a maximum at PvP, then Shy buff will only be viable for PvE. Then it's okay.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. Definitely a lot better.
So what advice would you like to give to newbies, returnees, and other players in the game?
The big thing is don't try to enhance right off the bat if you're not sure what you're doing. You should take examples from others. You can buy every piece of gear in this game at this point on the market, including Debos. The only thing you can't buy is probably Deboreka rings at Penn. But other than that, I also say just finish your journals as soon as possible. They're very important, and just don't slack on them.
Okay, let me just add something. This is for everyone, returnees and newbies, almost even for veterans. I'm seeing that some veterans they're not using best in slot crystals or lightstone setups, even there's over 700 gear score. And this is a little bit annoying, not gonna lie, and it looks funny. For everyone, if you're newbie, if you're returnee, please do not hesitate to buy best in slot crystals. Do not hesitate, because how much money you invest them, you just write them down. How much crystals you get them, just write them down, and just try to buy with that money a Pen Deboreka. From TED to Pen, how much stats you're gonna gain, just write them down and just do some match and just compare them. Try to match them. You will see that there will be huge difference. Crystals, lightstones, all other independent things, not your gear score, not your basic gear, sheet AP gear things, all other things, all the hidden stat things that give you something, AP, accuracy, all the things. They are extremely valuable. Your journals, valuable. Crystals, valuable. Lightstones, valuable. Do not hesitate. Waste your money on them. You will just gain insane amount of power from them.
As like a big crystal to buy that you should want to get right away is a Gearin's Fragment. That's probably like the best value of any PvE crystal.
Even we are using green at caps because of 1% extra, special attack. Overall, like, I really like to just invest so much money for crystals, lightstones, and all other things, because always I'm just having the power. Like, if that is 5 billion, no. If you ask to me, green crystal is 50 billion worth because it's giving so much stuff.
Yeah, just run the Gearin Fragment alone is 10 monster AP, whereas you don't really get anything for going to a crystal, and then the tier obviously gives you that 1% special, which it's decent, but it's not like a crazy amount.
Alright, we are reaching the end of the interview. Is there anything else you would like to add before we finish?
Definitely would like to say we need to nerf Shy, of course. I feel like a lot of other people have said that already because they kind of contribute to the resist problem. But then again, what you said is 50% resist cap, that might work out. But I still think stuff like the Shy buff with the attack speed is a little too much. Other than that, thank you for the interview. I appreciate you having me.
Alright, mi amigos, now you see Azurlia's social links on the screen. He is a very nice, kind dude. He's streaming almost every time. Maybe not every time, I don't know. He must stream on Twitch. Just go there, say hi, and if you have any question, do not hesitate to ask to him about Succession Lahn, even about Awaken Lahn, even about game itself. He is always ready to help you guys, because we all content creators trying to just give so much value to the newbies and returnees, because you guys deserve everything. Thank you so much, Azurlia.
Thank you, Quendia.
Alright, do not forget, BDO is just a game. Have a nice game.